Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies. Welcome back to presentation 2. On behalf of the SACBW, allow me to once again welcome you back to this second presentation of the 3-part series. My name is Nadia Karalison and I'm a proud member of the SACBW. And once again, welcome to this introductory presentations of how to become a mentor. The next presentation, or rather presentation 2, is roughly divided into 10 sections. Don't get worried, it's not too long because some of these only has one slide. As an introduction, I'd like to remind you once again about why you are here. You want to become a mentor, not only to put it on your CV, to fill up your CV, but because you are committed to developing the next tier of small businesses. You are committed to developing the next group of younger, less experienced people. You are in the privileged situation where you have gained experience, knowledge over these years, and now is the time that you are ready to share that with this group of inexperienced people and help them fulfill their own dreams and their goals. A minute to reflect as a mentor. Mentoring is about a mentor, usually the more experienced, knowledgeable, willing to share experiences, knowledge with a mentee. And that is you. The purpose of the interaction between the mentor and the mentee is to help grow and develop the mentee. And what I can ask you now is, are you ready for this purpose? And how ready are you for this purpose? But remember always, you can also learn from that mentee and can also develop as a result of this interaction with a mentee. Talk show host Oprah Winfrey once referred to a mentor, you, as someone always, or rather someone who allows you, the mentee. Let me start over. Oprah Winfrey referred to the mentor as someone who allows the mentee to see the hope inside him or herself. Each one has dreams, and you are going to help fulfill that person to achieve their dreams. Never ever should the following deny human beings dreams, potential, talent not to be fully realized. And that is, some of us lack confidence. That mentee may lack confidence. That mentee may have a negative view about him or herself. That mentee may have some fear. You are going to help that mentee to also build confidence, build a positive self-image, and also to leave that fear behind, because those things will always be in the way of realizing your dreams. A question to ask, why are you doing this? Why are we doing this? And these things you have to answer for yourself. What problems are we ready to solve? What expertise do you bring to the party? Is this actually going to be useful? I can tell you now, it is going to be useful. You are going to help that person. You are going to add value to that person. Will this change behavior? Definitely. And there's no easier way. You have done it, and you'll show this person how it can be done. The cost, is it really worth it? At the end of the day, those things really don't matter. It's about investing in that next person. Also, as a mentor, remember, we don't always have to agree with one another, but it's important that we learn to respect one another. The relationship, once again, built on respect. When our actions are based on good intentions, our souls have no regret. And I can assume that as a mentor, your intentions are good. The only way you can see results is if you stay consistent. The mentor-mentee relationship is about achieving results, about realizing those goals, and you have to be consistent. You have to meet regular, and you have to drive, motivate that mentee. Also, in that process, if I'm wrong, educate me, don't belittle me. The same applies to the mentee. It's about growing both of you. It's about empowering both of you. And also, thinking is difficult. That's according to Carl Jung. That is why most people judge. You are not there to judge. The mentee is not there to judge you. Rather, it's about growing and developing together. As promised earlier, communication is core to this relationship. The success of this relationship, mentor-mentee relationship, is to a certain degree dependent on communication. All right. And that is a good summary of communication skills that you need for mentoring. The success of your mentoring, listening, feedback, your non-verbal behavior, and we'll touch on all of those things in the next couple of slides. And interesting, this is not only applicable to the mentoring, but also see it as some personal development. The mentor communication, your ability to communicate with the mentee. The following have been identified as core to the success of the mentor-mentee relationship. Your ability to build rapport and trust with the mentee, a positive attitude and approach. You can't take your baggage, your negativity there, all right? You will then never achieve your result. Active listening, and I can't emphasize that one more. It's about not to hear what the mentee says to you, but it's about being actively involved in that process. Your ability to formulate and ask relevant questions, and we will deal with that. And also be aware of your nonverbal communication. You may not be aware of it, but the mentee will pick up on it. And maybe that is just the reason why success is not achieved. Number one, let us have a look at positive attitude. Always have a positive attitude for yourself, for the mentee. No one wants to walk around with that negative, limited thinking. All right, and that positive attitude starts in your mind. It's a state of the mind. Okay, you cannot take your negativity to this relationship. Leave it somewhere, lock it up somewhere. Being positive, you also have to be optimistic, but remain realistic. And that is important in your goal setting. All right? You can never ever have unrealistic demands, goals on what is possible, what can be achieved. Having a positive attitude is also about being hopeful, not just for yourself, but also for that mentee. The minute you don't have hope, that same minute that mentee will detect it, and it's like his or her dreams are gone. You need to pay attention at all times. Remember, positivity always wins. And a positive attitude allows one to see also opportunities. To be positive, we all talk to ourselves from time to time, not necessarily by looking into the mirror, but we need that positive self-talk. And please cut out the I can't do it, I shouldn't have done it, I'm not going to be successful. Leave that alone. We don't need that negativity any around this relationship. Positive self-talk is necessary. And what a better way to start your morning. All right? It's a chance to learn something new. I can learn. I can figure it out. I always look on the bright side of things. I'm always improving. I'm resourceful. I'll come up with the right answer. I enjoy adapting. I enjoy growing. I love a challenge. I can change. I trust myself to succeed. Invest in positive self-talk, and it's going to do wonders for you as an individual, but also prior to that meeting with that mentee, it is important that you have a positive mindset, one of you can do it, I can do it. We are almost there. Never give up. And those are the things that the mentee needs to be successful. A very important aspect of any relationship, and especially this one, because you may not know that mentee, that protege, is your ability to build rapport, your ability to get that mentee to trust you, to share with you, to want to be part of this process. And in a nutshell, possibly we can refer to rapport as the ability to just connect with somebody. And we must have all experienced it at some point in our lives when you meet somebody and it's just, wow, we've just clicked. It's that rapport that really just brought the two of you together. It's a harmonious relationship. It's one of understanding and reflection. It's a one of where you feel free to communicate. You connect with the next person easily. It's just a relationship where you are yourself, the mentee is herself, and you can just be yourself and work together to achieve those goals. And when you meet that person, just work on this, please, because if that rapport is not there, you are going to have some challenges. And in presentation 3, that point will come up again because we have to stress this. Important, like in all other relationships, is the trust element. And I think we all have experienced it when you cannot trust someone anymore, what it does to a relationship. And important, or very often, that trust relationship, once that is ruined, then it's very many times it's the end of that relationship. And I referred earlier or in the first presentation to confidentiality. Mentor-mentee relationship is always one of confidentiality. And once that confidence is broken, it's going to take some time to restore that again. As a mentor, you have to be reliable at all times. If you make a promise, ensure that you deliver. Show that you have faith in the mentee. Otherwise, what is the purpose of this? Feel safe, feel protected, but also ensure that the mentee feels the same, feels protected when she is with you. It's all about feeling comfortable, feeling relaxed, and that will help both parties to open up and freely share. Never, ever underestimate that trust relationship. The next important point is there's absolutely nothing wrong with your ears, but many people, adults, don't have the ability to listen. It's a skill, and it's something that before you enter the mentoring relationship, you will have to pay attention to. Poor listening is regarded as the number one problem between people. You can't listen. You fail to understand. You jump to conclusions. You reply before the next person has finished her or his sentence. Nancy Klein said, the quality of your attention determines the quality of the other person's thinking. So if you can't pay attention to the mentee, you are going to be in serious trouble. You will not know what the real challenge is of that mentee. And if you don't know what the real challenge is, what the root cause is, then you are going to address symptoms and not the real things that you need to work on. So this is important. Poor listening, not concentrating, listening too hard, jumping to conclusions, focusing on delivery and personal appearance. Please, that is maybe one of the most important parts of a successful mentoring relationship. Listening is definitely not hearing. Okay? And it is something you need to work on. Listening is focused, voluntary, be relaxed, and it is intentional. All right? You can hear something play there in the background. You hear it, but unless you pay attention, you are not going to know what was really said. I dedicated one whole slide to this. Listen to understand. Understand before you act, before you respond. So it is listen to understand before you act. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't just respond. Don't just assume. Work on your listening skills. Another quotation here that I thought is useful to include. The biggest communication problem is that we do not listen to understand, we listen to reply. Hey, just reflect on that. Listen to understand before you respond, before you act. So the process here is pay attention, interpret, understand, and then only you respond, you reply, you take the necessary action, what it may even be. So the purpose of listening when you are in that situation with the mentee is, remember, the mentee is a different person. Never forget diversity. The mentee has his or her own principles, her or his own view of the world, and there are many. So do not judge. Listen and understand what is being said. Listen and get a sense of what that person, the mentee, is thinking and how he or she is feeling before you respond. Don't jump to conclusions. Different listening levels. And this is really how people listen. And once again, to be a successful mentor, to be a good mentor, you have to be a good listener. So work on this specific skill. There are those, we can classify them as intolerant listeners. They don't have patience. They interrupt. They keep on interrupting you because they know what you are going to say. Right? They jump to conclusions. They are impatient. That is not the way to go. The second category is possibly the non-listeners. They just hear words. They are in their own world. And the mentee-mentor meeting can just be a waste of time. It's in by the one ear and out by the next ear. So there's no listening taking place. Third category, the subconscious listeners. They think they know what you are about to say. Okay? They never give themselves the opportunity to understand and understand again before they reply. They think they know everything. So, intolerant, non-listeners, subconscious listeners, that is not the way to go. Rather focus or try to become an active listener. Be attentive. Be fully engaged. Show interest. Ask questions, and you can ask questions without interrupting. All right? Ask the mentee to clarify a certain point if you maybe not understand it, but be active in that process. Also, you can be an empathetic listener. You will always show understanding in order to be empathetic. And from time to time, you can use a statement like, you feel that, or just make a comment on what was said. Be a positive listener, encourage, come up with supportive statements, encouraging noises. Oh, just nod. Success, praise if necessary. It's about motivating, inspiring the speaker, the mentee, to actually tell you more. So work on this, be active, empathetic, and positive listening skills, and see how you can complement that with, later on, with the nonverbal communication as well. So in a nutshell, a good listener, a good mentor, a successful mentor is somebody who shows genuine interest. And your body language will once again tell the mentee, is she or he interested? Yes or no? Be present, not physically, but show that you are present by listening. Also important is minimize all distractions. All right? Because sometimes that distraction can be an interruption for the mentee. But also show interest by focusing on what is being said. Keep up with the mentee's flow of ideas, what is being discussed. Provide clear feedback to show that you are listening. It is a dialogue. It's a conversation. So unless you know what's going on, you will not be able to provide feedback. It's a learning experience, and you need to identify what the real issues are. As a mentor, you never judge, you never label. You have to be patient even in your communication. Allow that mentee to finish what he or she has to say or to make his or her point. Never interrupt, and be careful when you make notes. Take notes, because even that can be distracting. And the mentee may wonder, I wonder what she's writing down there. Okay, so do it without distracting the mentee. And try to analyze and reflect. Think back on what you heard, what was said. And know what the key points are, what the key points were, because we'll have to come back to that later on to understand who and what the mentee, what the goals are, what the challenges are, to be able to provide feedback. In a nutshell, a good listener, we refer to it as the 5 L's. Listen. In other words, have your ears ready to listen. Okay? Not hear. Your lips, keep them closed. You don't have to use them because you are listening and you are not going to interrupt the next person talking. Your hands, you're not going to distract the mentee with your hands, so keep them on your lap. You look with your eyes, so you are going to look at the mentee, never stare to make the mentee feel uncomfortable, but you will face the mentee, not sideways up into watch what's going on the ceiling. You will face the mentee, and then your legs also. Have them on the floor and keep them together. So, good listener, in a nutshell, when you are part of that process, always remember those 5 L's. Ears to listen, lips to close, eyes to look at, your legs and your lap, your hands on your lap. Next to listening, or after listening rather, would be your ability to ask questions. This is no examination, but you will ask questions, you will formulate questions, you will formulate good questions depending on what information you need. Those questions have to be relevant. So it's also a good skill to actually be able to ask good questions. And just have a look at what Albert Einstein said. If I had an hour, 60 minutes to solve a problem and my life depended on it, I would use the first 55 minutes to determine the proper question to ask. And I think that summarizes it well. The ability to ask the right questions, because unless the right questions are asked, are formulated, you will not get the right information. You will not succeed in dealing with the core issues. You will respond to symptoms. And then you may wonder why, when you get towards the end of the process, that the success has not been achieved. So here, it's just questions: where, what if, when, how did it happen? So those are the question words that really can help you. Questions to ask a good question, formulate a good question. Point number 1 is keep your question simple so that the mentee understands what is being asked. The mentee must not, maybe this or that. The mentee must know immediately what is being asked. Point number 2, rather ask more questions, because sometimes people come with these long questions, and by the time they finish the question, you forgot what they asked right at the beginning. So break up that question into 3 or 4 shorter questions so that the mentee knows exactly what is expected from him or her, what guide him. The shorter questions will better guide her in her responses. It may be necessary that you encourage the mentee, when necessary, to respond, but don't be impatient. Give the mentee time after you've asked the question to think about it before she responds. All right, this is not a place also for yes or no answers. So rather ask open-ended questions, in other words, where an explanation is given. And importantly, in this relationship, there are no wrong answers. Okay? Listen to what the mentee answers and Keep that in mind. But there is no right or wrong. It's not an examination. Also, there may be times of silences. Nobody talks, but sometimes it's good because that is the time when people make sense of what has been said. They think about what has been said. They reflect on what has been said. That silence is a good time to just slow down before you respond. And here we're talking about the 3 to 5 second rule. So there is nothing wrong with that. But sometimes there's that awkward, that uncomfortable silences. Body language shows you are bored. Beware of that, and we will deal with body language later. Body language shows that you are not looking at the mentee. There's something else has distracted you. You're looking at the ceiling, you're looking out through the window, or something else, or you're playing with your cell phone. That is not the way to go. Maybe you don't understand what the mentee is talking about, or you've lost interest. And because you have lost interest, you haven't listened, you don't know how to respond. The next very, very important part, never to be underestimated, is your body language, the non-verbal communication. Your body language actually says much more when compared to what you say. And some of the things that you need to always be aware of, number one, your voice, vocal factors, your tone, the pitch, and the rhythm. It is often said, it's not what you say, but really how you say it. So be cautious. Eye contact, never stare. We spoke about this earlier. You make eye contact. You never stare. You look at the mentee. Right? They say there, excessive eye contact can be hostile, intimidating. So watch out also not to stare at the mentee. Facial expression. Are you relaxed? Do you smile? Do you encourage the mentee? Are you supportive? Those are important things, because once the mentee is relaxed, he or she will actually open up and participate fully. So your facial expression is important. Arms, hands, and your posture. Sorry, let me start over. Your arms, your hand, arms, and leg posture. Remember, we said keep your hands on your lap. Your posture, you should face the mentee. Never use your hand to cover your mouth. It creates the impression of uncertainty, and you cannot afford to look uncertain in this relationship. Lean forward if necessary. COVID-19, but keep your 1 to 2 meter space. Open your arms and just try to be relaxed and be comfortable, because the mentee will also follow your example. Your body movement, don't fiddle too much. Switch off your cell phone. Leave it somewhere else. Those are the things that distract from this whole process. You have scheduled this session with a mentee, so come prepared. It's not the time to answer your emails or your messages. Choose an environment that is conducive for mentoring, where both you and the mentor feel comfortable, where you can switch off your cell phones, where you can sit and talk freely. And that place will definitely not be a noisy restaurant, the parking lot, etc. So identify a place also that is conducive for this process. Part of your communication will also be your ability to provide feedback. And we're just touching on this one here as it falls into this category. You are going to listen actively and you will have to respond. You will have to come up with good questions. The mentee will from time to time be given tasks to do. You will respond to that and will provide feedback. Remember, feedback is never an opportunity to destroy confidence. This is a developmental process. This is somebody growing. This is somebody about to change. So be cautious how you give feedback, your tone of voice, and also the content of that. It has to be constructive. Many people use the sandwich example. So it's positive, then followed by negative, and you always end on a positive note. Because with that positive note, that mentee will exit and the mentee will remember that as the last thing you have said. So take note of that, but we will elaborate on that in the third section. In the previous presentation, we also spoke about the mentor being a role model. Role models are necessarily, I think, leaders in your church, in your community, etc. And remember, a leader always lead by example, whether it's the intention or not. So remember that when you enter that relationship with a mentee. You are a role model, you are a leader. And just maybe to slow down here for a second or two, which of the following quotations apply best to you? Confucius said, respect yourself and others will respect you. All leaders respect themselves and they will respect you also. And that is expected of you as a mentor. Richard Branson said, respect is how to treat everyone. So, treat the mentee with respect. Even if he or she is younger than you, less experienced compared to you, it's important that we all, as being part of the human race, respect one another. Laurence said, respect for ourselves guide our morals. Respect for others guides our manners. And the last one, rather fail with honor than succeed with fraud. So the first three actually deal with respect. And it's not by choice. It's a deliberate thing that I included the cycle of respect here. And I will ask each and every one of you to have a look at it. Because as a leader, as a role model, respect yourself and ensure you respect others. And that next person will respect you also. And if you respect yourself, fail with honor rather than succeed with fraud. The next one also, leadership and role models and mentors. The whole issue around ethical conduct. And on your right-hand side, you can look there at what ethics is all about, but I think I'm not going through all of those things. But what I can though say is that all mentors must act ethically at all times. And what exactly is ethics in a nutshell? Providing guidance in terms of behavior to set common ethical standards that apply to all. So just have a look at that picture on your right-hand side. The pillars of ethical conduct. Let me start over. The pillars of ethical conduct, and this applies let me start over. The pillars of ethical conduct, and these apply to you as a mentor, as a leader. There are 5 pillars. The first one is integrity. Second one is objectivity. Third is professional competence. The next one, confidentiality. And then we deal with professional behavior. Pillar number 1, integrity. C.S. Lewis said, integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. And that is important. You don't act in an ethical manner when there are other people around. It must become part and parcel of yourself. Bednar said, people of integrity and honesty not only practice what they preach, they are what they preach. And you as a mentor need to take careful note of that. As a role model, it's important that you practice what you preach. You can't tell or guide someone else to do a certain thing and you don't lead by example. And Jennifer Walsh said, integrity costs nothing. However, its value is priceless. And remember, it's a guarantee. People will respect you because of your integrity. The second pillar deals with objectivity. What does objectivity mean? No bias, no prejudice. And the aim of objectivity in the mentoring relationship is to eliminate decisions based on bias, on difference. We'll come to diversity later. But objectivity must be part of your mentoring relationship. It must be considered when you give your feedback. That is important. Never be influenced by emotion. That will take your objectivity away. Rather, decisions or any approaches should be based on facts. Right? The third pillar is that of professional confidence. Let me start. The third pillar deals with professional competence. You bring certain knowledge, skills to this relationship, and you will always act in a professional manner. So, based on your professional competence and what the mentee tells you, discloses to you, you will ask relevant questions. And you will ensure that the mentee gives you the correct, not the correct, but proper responses so that both of you work to those goals that you have jointly set and which will help the mentee to become a better version of herself. So your professional competence is nothing more but your skills, your experience, your education, your emotional intelligence that you bring to the party, your ability to listen, your ability to ask questions, your ability to understand the process of continuous development. And that is important in this regard. The next pillar deals with confidentiality. Can you keep things to yourself? Can you guarantee to the mentee that what you say in here stays in here? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Keep this private, secret, not telling anyone else. And that may be important, depending on the personality of the mentee, to know that what he or she tells you is not going to be shared with a third person. Your professional conduct, behavior. It's the how part, how you behave. And remember, in this case also, support the next person, the mentee, show compassion, respect, be calm. And there are boundaries to this relationship. Keep it professional. Mentee, mentor, don't overstep. And do certain things which you may later on regret. Openness and transparency. It may just help to strengthen the relationship. Leave the negativity at home, the negative judgments. And it helps people to keep people accountable for their actions. Being open, being transparent. By nature, mentors are curious people. They are inquisitive by nature. And inquisitive people ask questions. They want to find out more. They scratch away layer after layer to get to the real core. They want to know more. They want to learn more. They are eager to discover new things, and they prefer deeper learning. And those things are important. They always ask, why did that happen? What happened? When did it happen? And by asking those questions, they get to know the real mentee. And by getting to know the real mentee, the core to the mentee's challenges, only then can a proper intervention be done. Next important point is also to have a look at your behavior as a mentor. Courteous, respect comes back, be reliable, be responsible, be tolerant, diligent, collegial, and always be tactful. That was basically only a reminder before we go on to the mentor and diversity, especially in the South African context. Please factor in for diverse inputs. No two people are the same. It doesn't, even if you belong to the same church, come from the same family, allow for difference, for diversity. And as far as diversity is concerned, there's no right or there is no wrong. What we are just asking is understand, because we don't want any additional challenges or the mentoring relationship to fail because of difference. So take note of that one as well. And ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, let us maybe just recap on a few things here. Before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. And I think you are at the point where you can start with the second sentence. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. You are going to sacrifice some of your free time to prepare for that mentoring session, to deal with that mentee, but it's all about leadership. The next point the next point that I want to conclude also with is the issue around communication. It's crucial for the success of the mentoring program, the mentoring relationship. Your ability to listen, your ability to ask questions, proper questions, and your ability to give feedback. And that in a relationship that may possibly be characterized by diversity, by difference. And lastly, I love quotations. I've seen that successful people believe they can learn. You wouldn't have been here today if you don't have the ability to learn. Your ability to learn from everybody. And you are going to learn from that mentee also one or two things that you didn't know before. I call them mavericks with mentors. Richard Branson, for instance, is a total maverick, but he surrounds himself with incredibly successful, smart people, and he listens to them. So you will go out there in that relationship, take note. That person's view of you, I can learn from this person. Come ready, prepare yourself with good questions, able to ask good questions, give good feedback, constructive feedback. You are about to make a difference in that person's life. So this is a big challenge. And that is all for today. The next one, we will look at different mentoring models and also reflect once more again on some of the areas we have covered up to now, and that is mentor characteristics. Because we need to get you in the correct frame of mind when you start that mentoring process. You are clear on what your role and what your responsibilities are. And so I'll see you in the next presentation again. And feedback, questions, comments, please send it to admin@sacbw.org. I thank you, ladies, and I will see you again.